Lights, camera, action.
My name is SOMTO. I'm superhuman. I'm from Venus. I'm mostly a photographer. Yeah, mostly because these days I just do shalaye anyhow. I do as I please. I'm here to talk to you guys about my Fujifilm experience. Okay, so why Fujifilm? That is the question. Why Fujifilm? Seeing especially as I'm primarily a portrait photographer, I shoot mostly commercials and portraits. I mean, I dabble with weddings here and there, but that's it. Firstly, what's photography for me? I got into photography proper, say 2008 there-ish. I bought a camera because it was my final year in school, and I wanted to save all the memories and all the moments. I wanted to connect with as many people as I could. However, I was a very shy guy, right? I know people find it hard to believe when I tell them that I was once a shy guy. I was a very shy guy. And then I thought, let me just buy a camera. Once you throw up that big box in front of your face and then you don't have to talk with people, all the pretty girls will be like, oh, camera, and then they'll. So it was a social tool for me to get close to all the people that I couldn't speak to. Like I said, I mostly shoot portraits. Most of the work that I do is not in clicking the camera. It's in having conversations with the people that I shoot, in connecting with them one-on-one, and person to person, and then exploiting some sort of vulnerability between myself and my subject, and then somehow they just let me shoot them. And this has been the reason why I think I've been rather successful as a photographer, just how it's worked for me. Okay, so yeah, that was the short of it of how I got into photography. And now my journey into Fujifilm. Okay, so I think the year was 2015, 2016, and I was going on a trip, right? And my friend Tom, she had this little camera, the X100S, the Fujifilm X100S. And I went, with my charm, my business. I was like, yo, sweet baby, yeah. Please give me your camera. Let me see that travel. Let me just go and see if there's anything there. And because I'm such a sweet boy and, everybody loves me, she gave me her camera. And I was like, okay, let's do this. I could do this. Right, so I was going to Zanzibar to photograph at a wedding, right? And obviously, before I traveled, I played around with the camera, trying to get around because I used to use a different system, and I don't like my camera to come between me and the pictures that I'm taking. So what I do is every time I get a new equipment, I download the manual into my head. Right, I try to read everything, make it so that if they wake me from sleep and say press B, I'll know where B is, that type of thing. So in the course of doing that with the X100S, I realized that there were lots of limitations, right? It was a compact camera. It was small and cute and everything, but it couldn't do a lot. It couldn't do what my DSLRs could do. It wasn't as sharp. It wasn't as fast. It wasn't as strong. It was pretty much a pocket camera, just a camera that you have for the sake of having a camera. So, like I said, the trip that I was going on, it was to photograph a wedding at Zanzibar. Of course, I packed up all my professional gear, my cameras, my lights that I was going to use to shoot the wedding. Then I just hung the Fuji on my shoulder because, it's just small and light, and they are fine. They are so cute. You know how Fujifilm cameras look. They're quite aesthetically pleasing. This was in 2016. I decided, just take pictures of whatever you can with the X100S. So I shot that wedding with my DSLR cameras and all my lights and everything. And obviously, my client loved all the pictures. But what stuck out to me was that I'd shared this gallery with them, and then she phoned me, and she was like, "Oh my God, Somto, yeah, that I could never have paid for all this. That thank you for coming with your camera. You captured my family and myself. Yeah, all the emotional stuff that did. I was just like, oh, yeah." So we had such a good time. So like I said, this was far back 2015, 16, and this was how the Fujifilm people started to pull me in, small. And if you know me, I'm not a gearhead. I used to be, but thankfully I've gotten over that phase. I got over it real quick. When I started photography, I wanted to have everything, and I tried to have every and anything that I needed. I would do shoots with all the lights in the world. Like, if I didn't have up to 5, 6 lights for one picture, yeah. So I wanted to have everything basically, but then along the line I'd evolved. I got into the point where I realized, this thing is not about all this. Yeah. So why I switched to Fuji? There's 4 main reasons. Firstly, the look and the aesthetics of it. So I'm a very sweet boy. Yeah, my mama born me well. Like, I'm a pretty boy, right? I like when I carry my camera and I hang it. It complements my beauty. Can you look. Like, right. Like, it is such a beautiful camera to have. You realize that most people are using cameras that are just big and bulky and round and the regular DSLR. So when you come out with this cute little guy that looks like it's a camera from the 70s, and then people are like, "Oh, wow, your camera, is it film?" I'm like, "It's digital, baby." And I'll be like, "Ooh." Yeah. So leave all that talk. Fuji is where it's at. And then also this guy is a digital powerhouse, but if you look at all these buttons, it looks like proper film, like, and they're just there. They're in places that are very accessible, easy to nimble. Like, I shoot blind with my camera. What I mean by shoot blind is, previously, to change this setting or that setting, I have to go into the menu and then start fiddling with dials here and there. But with this bad boy, it's like I'm there, I'm ready to go. I need to change this. I'll just go click, I'm ready. And then I realized that, yeah, I realized that when I'm shooting weddings, and then there's all the host of other photographers that I never like because I like to be alone, right? And then it's time to take a group picture, and then everybody has posed. I realized that I'm always finishing first. And then they ask me, "Are you done?" I'll be like, "Yes." And then all the other guys will not be like, "Wait for us." And I'll be like, "Ooh, voila, for who don't use Fuji." Oh yeah, so that's it for the looks and the aesthetics of it. And then the next reason, like I said, these are my reason, is the size of it, right? If you know me, if you've seen me work, I like to dance, right? I like to move a lot. You see how I've been pacing back and forth? I mean, that's how I am. It's easier for me to be myself and create the way that I want to create if I'm not being weighed down by all these heavyweights. When not beside the gym, I'll day house, I'll wake up early in the morning, I'll go to gym. Do you understand? I'll still go to work, I'll still be gymming. Who I kill. It's very, very unnecessary. Do you get what I mean, right? So I like the fact that they're really small. I can carry these guys around all day and I'll get back. Another thing is the back pain that photographers are always complaining about. I know many of you can relate. When you switch to Fuji, it goes away. It just goes away. Take it or leave it. It just goes away. So yeah, the size and the ease of use, top seller for me. And then the next is the film simulations and the Fuji colors. How many of you know or use film simulations on your Fujifilm? Yeah, you are sleeping on a very big bicycle and you're going to fall soon. You need to get in touch with the film simulations. Now, if you're familiar with my work, prior to the time that I switched to Fuji, it gets my pictures, they take me like cream, right? I tend to spend a lot of time in post trying to get all my colors I'll desaturate my pictures, tweak this here, yeah, to get a certain look for them. What I realized since I switched to Fuji is that I didn't need to do all that anymore. When I snap the photo like this, I like how it comes out. I mean, these days I find myself shooting a whole lot JPEG and not being worried about all that I may be losing or not because the colors come out the way I want them, everything, just Sam every time. Okay, water. Sorry, sure you understand. Yeah. So Fuji does that. It saves time for me, and I realized that I spend more time shooting now than I used to before. Always on computer. Tam, tam, tam. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a photographer, not a computer person, so that works for me, and it's really exciting for me. And then point number 4, which is the most important one, okay, price point. These guys are what? Cheap. Compared to what other people are selling and compared to the work that they will do, bro, they are cheap. So that was it for that. Amongst many other things, but that's by the way. And then, since I switched to Fuji, right? Especially as I'm, like I said, primarily a portrait and commercial person, there's a few questions that I get asked a lot. First, they say, is it durable? I'm like, of course it's durable. I've been using this guy, and I'm not the most careful person. Like I said, I'm always dancing. So with my dancing comes me, and I have pretty functional knees, like very functional, right? So I could do this all day. And so when I'm dancing, and a lot of times my camera is bumping on the floor. With my old body, used to take it, but there were a lot of dents because it was heavy, and then it's more come like this, you will notice the difference. But with the Fujis, they are quite light. It's just like now, when an elephant falls on the ground, or when, like, say, a dog falls on the ground, the difference is clear, right? So it takes falls way a lot better than I expected. Because every time my Fuji, I remember the first time my Fuji fell, my heart entered inside my chest, like, I'm like, hey, Jesus. When I picked it up and I was good, I was like, oh, wow, this guy is strong. And then, it's been free falling ever since, and still. I did not say you should be dropping your camera. I'm just telling you my own story, right? So it's been free falling ever since, and it's doing the work. So yes, they're very durable, and again, they're weather sealed. Maybe that day we went into some farming fields, and this guy was watering his plant. So I wanted to get really close, and I crouched really close to where this man was watering his plant. And as he came closer, he was like, okay, don't go come at your camera. I was like, no worry, continue. Okay, it's Fuji. Yes, it's Fuji. Another question that people ask me a lot is, don't you miss full frame? When I started photography, I started with a crop sensor. I shot it for a few years, and then I got into the jet craze. And also, the technology back then wasn't all that good. So I was like, I gotta leave this trash and upgrade to a full frame camera. And then I upgraded. And then I had arrived. Full frame. They are daddy. Nobody can talk to me anyhow again. I used full frame for a few years. And then making the transition back to Fuji was one of the main concerns that I had. When I shoot these photos and they get printed out on billboards, are they going to see them well? You got to worry about large format printing. You got to worry about all that depth and all colors and all that. But to my surprise, the internet has been answering the question. As regards, I really don't miss full frame. I'll explain to you now. I still have my full frame, just that dust has really covered it now. Because I didn't want to get rid of them, because I was like, let me just have it, so that when that time comes that there's something that the Fuji cannot handle, I will have it to fall back on. My brother, I haven't had cause to fall back ever since. Oganiro, I've been going. Are you getting it? So I can't say that I miss full frame. I really don't. And then the technology in this guy has come a long way from the little X100S of a few years ago to these guys. They answer the questions why they ask him. And as for performance, this guy is a powerhouse. It is talk fast. So how I like to shoot is, say in a typical portrait scenario, what I like to do is to get in there, set up my lights, set up my camera, everything. Myself and my assistant, we've got everything figured out, and then we start shooting. Once we start shooting, I don't like to start thinking, is the light here or there? Yeah. Because I feel like that draws me back, and it creates a barrier between myself and the subjects that I'm shooting. What I've realized with Fujifilm is that it is very fast. It's very easy to get around, and the performance is just... It's ever blazing. It's like, not English I define, no verse. Okay, this guy is here, right? all the primary functions that you're going to need on your camera, which are the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture. They're all there. They're all dials in and around the camera that you're just going to, on many other bodies, for you to say change maybe f-stop or something, you first press one button and use this other hand to turn this other button. Oganaga. You understand? You are wasting. But with this guy, you just bring it up. You will see. You don't need any screen. You can pretty much shoot with the Fujis with your screen off the entire time, and you still know what you're doing. Because when you pick it up on all the dials, you're gonna see over here your eyes, so you can say, okay, my eyes is at such and such. And then it just reduces the time that you spend filling in on gear. And then I think, yeah, us photographers waste a whole lot of time doing that, and Fujifilm just, makes life a little bit easier, and for that I'm grateful. And I primarily shoot, like I said, portraits. I dabble with weddings. Oh, I love food. I tend to shoot food a lot as well. Yeah, and the Fuji has really come through. And yeah. Yeah. So I just try to put a few pictures to show you guys that I use this guy for my professional work, to shoot photos from weddings, food, portraits, and billboards too. So, like I said, all Fuji. I love, another thing that I love about the Fuji is, like, I think it was Yagaji that mentioned that, is how small they are and how inconspicuous they are, right? Like I said, I like to shoot photos of people without having a barrier between us. And most big and outrageous cameras is they can be intimidating when you're standing in front of people. I mean, it's not because we like pictures. No means everybody like them. Some people, when you pull out a big ass camera, they're frightened and they're intimidated, and they're not able to give you the best of themselves. But I've realized that with the Fuji, it's been easy because, first of all, it's a very, very, very interesting conversation starter. When you go to work and you whip this guy out, they'll be like, "Is that your camera? Wow, it is so cool. Is it film?" And then it's already starting to break barriers between you and your subject. And once you can open people up and get them to sort of loosen up to you, your portraits are definitely gonna be better. And again, or Fuji. And like the thing on the thing says, a camera is a tool, an extension of oneself. And like I always say, the best camera that you can buy is the one that you can afford. I've added to that now. And if it's a Fujifilm, you are doing very well.
Most pictures we've seen now are not, most of them are not like studio portraits and everything. Okay. So I want to ask, like, is there any challenge shooting Fuji, doing studio portrait, or?
For me, there hasn't. However, there was one time, right? There was one time I went to a workshop. I was supposed to teach portraits. I just got in my Fuji and I was excited. I was like, they gave me a DSLR, so I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna touch that dirt. I want to use this guy, right? But at the time, I didn't know my camera. Like I said, I just got in it. You see the sweet body. I think I just got in it and I went on that trip. So when I'm shooting in the studio, I like to shoot tethered, right? You know, where you connect the wire to your ihene and it shows up on your screen, right? I like to shoot tethered. So I went in there, I'd set up everything. I put the trigger on, feeling like a bad guy. I want to show these people that Fuji is the one. And then I plugged the wire into my camera and I was just there. If I look the camera, I go look the computer, look the camera, look the computer. I'll do like this. I go off and on, remove the battery, put it back, restart the software on the computer, and it wasn't responding. Anyway, I ended up doing that workshop with the dirty DSLR that I pushed to the corner. I put it back, and I did the workshop. But then, after that, I went to do some studying to figure out what the challenge was. And it turned out that all I had to do was to change a setting, right? So when I figured out, I was quite because at that point I was having doubts about this Fuji. I was like, hey, I've spent this money, I can't go back. Fuji is not tethering. But then I went and I learned and I figured that out. And ever since then, it's been easy breezy for me shooting in the studio. I think I like the way the Fujis handle light. I like, what do you call it? I like the colors. They work so well with they work so well with flash. And now, besides that little scare that I had in the beginning where I couldn't figure out how to theta my camera, I've not had any challenges, or I haven't felt any need to go and pull out my DSLR from where it is to do the studio work.
Lights, camera, action.